we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the Lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the Lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Hey everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass, as always, is my partner, Captain Mark Wages, and you are on the Lifeboat, and boy oh boy, people, this cat is so close to getting taken off the globe right now, I cannot even explain it to you. Squirrel is on one. All right, and if you saw the squirrel video earlier, that's squirrel pretending she can fly. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out because it's fairly cool. But yeah, she's on one. Don't know what's gotten into squirrel. The cat in the basket thing is just, you know what? She does not want to be a cat in the basket. She would like to destroy everything in the entire house. So, if you saw the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about failure. And you know what? Before you think this is awful and the last thing in the world I want to do is talk about failure, I think that we look at failure the wrong way. I really do. You saw the thumbnail. 99% of people, and this is a stone cold fact, 99% of people are only going to fail once. Once. It's the only time they're going to fail. Because they're never going to try again. It's going to be the absolute end to the entire process. And the sad thing is that across the board, worldwide, especially here in the good old US of A, but worldwide, we view failure incorrectly, completely. You know, one of the things that I've got going for me these days, I've never been this successful in my life. Honestly, this is the most successful I have been since coming into the planet. And you know the reason behind that, truthfully, the reason behind that is because I got off dope. And what I mean by that is this. I spent 30 years trying to get clean and failing again and again and again and again. The only thing that I can say is that I did continue to try. It wasn't working very well. In fact, it wasn't working, period. But I continued to try. And then a funny thing happened through the help of a person that really, really wanted to see me get sober. I ended up where I'm at today. And once that happened, I came to understand that in order to be successful, you're not going to, there's not going to be some moment. There's not going to be some epiphany where all of a sudden you go, this is it. No, it's just a matter of getting up off of the deck and trying again and again and again and again. So what's the difference? You know, what was the difference between the 500 times that I tried to get sober and the time that I did? And I'll be really honest with you people. You know what the difference was? I got organized, right? We talked about this yesterday. I got organized. I started to look at failure as an opportunity. I started to look at failure as a chance to better myself. And that hadn't happened up to that point. Plain and simple, it just hadn't. Up until the time that I started to understand this, I always thought failure was just that, right? It was a failure. If you look at people who go into a gym, right? They walk in there, they weigh 175 pounds, and they decide that they're going to end up being one of those dudes that looks like the cover of Men's Journal. You know what those people do every single day? They work until what? They work until muscle failure. For real, right? What we're trying to do is continue to pump iron until you can't push the next one up. And in the process of failing, your muscle rips, shreds, tears, and then rebuilds. And when it comes back, you know what happens? It's bigger. It's stronger. Well, that is the exact same phenomenon that happens with people who view failure as opportunity. People who view failure as a way to get to the next level. Now, I'm not trying to be a buzzkill because I love every single one of you. But statistically speaking, the majority of you aren't going to listen to a word I'm saying. The majority of people are going to fail just once, and they're going to quit. I wasn't meant to do that. I'm not very good at this, you know. I tried. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Look at anybody on this planet that is successful. When we look at the people who are the most successful people that we could think of, if I asked you to list a couple of names of really successful people, Elon Musk's name would probably pop up there. You'd probably get Steve Jobs, right? The problem with Bill Gates, great example, right? Bill Gates. The problem with all of these people is what I like to think of as the tip of the iceberg, right? When you see Elon Musk, you go, he's got that boring company, right? I don't mean boring as in, you know, not interesting, but he's boring underground and drilling and you know, trying to put tunnels from LA to other places. He has that company. He has the company that's taking rockets into space. He has the company that is building electric automobiles. And then he's got the company that's building solar waves and walls and all of these different things. In every single one of these examples, you're seeing the tip of the iceberg. You're seeing this man's success. Tortoise Hares Animal Sanctuary. Good echoing. Love Ilea. You know what? I'm glad that you're here. Thank you so much. Tortoise Hares Animal Sanctuary. How cool does that sound?
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, that's very cool. I don't know that. Are we familiar with this person? That's the first I think I've seen them.
I think that's Ilea, isn't it?
Oh, it is?
I think.
Well, Ilea, thank you so much. If it is, then thank you so much. I know that Ilea does have a tortoise.
Maybe I know she.
Yes. She says Tortoise Hares Animal Sanctuary. Charlie Mullins, call me Ilea. Thank you, Ilea. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you for the support, and thank you for always being here, which is more important. I mean that. But it's the tip of the iceberg syndrome. We see these people, and what do we see? We see their success. We see the stuff that jumps off the page at us. You watch Michael Jordan, and you think, 5 times this cat won, you know, the absolute pinnacle of his occupation, right? He won the world championship for his sports 5 times. What you don't realize is this cat wasn't a first-round draft pick, right? You look at Tom Brady and you go 6 times. This guy has won the absolute pinnacle of his career, right? He went and won a Super Bowl 6 different times. Not a first-round draft pick, right? But when you don't concentrate on what got him there, that's the rest of the iceberg. That's the stuff that you don't see. And we don't concentrate on that. It's no different in sobriety. You understand that? And I'll tell you something, people. I'm not just talking about sobriety. If that's all you're getting out of this, then you should go back and watch last season, right? Last season, that's what we talked about. We really hammered home what it takes to get sober. And we still do a lot of videos these days on, being successful in sobriety. But you know something? That's base camp, right? That's the start of all of this. And I promise you, if that's your goal, if that's the highest you intend to get, well, God bless you, man, because being sober kicks the crap out of being a drug addict. But you're wasting your life. If that is the pinnacle of where you intend to get, well, then you've wasted your life. People, when I got sober, after 30 years, I came to realize something. I came to realize that if I continued to get up after every single time I got knocked down, if I just kept getting back up, then really incredible things happen, right? The goals that I set become a reality, providing that the only thing I have to do is never say die, right? If I was a person that took no for an answer when it came to trying to be successful, I assure you, I wouldn't be here tonight. If my partner had the same concept, well, then there wouldn't be a lifeboat, period. There'd be nobody here to make this happen. Right. But once you start to reach that level of success, an interesting thing happens. And you know something? This is not unique to myself or to Mark Wages. You will see very often people who say, you know what, I got sober and then I did this, right? And these incredible stories come out. The idea is, once you realize that no matter how many times you get knocked down, you continue to get up. Once that becomes a reality, then the next hurdle is nothing. Honestly, the next goal becomes, wow, it's just another one of those things that I'm going to do until I'm damn successful. You know how many people out there, the cliches are go to the end of time. The stories go to the end of time. How was the light bulb invented? When he failed 10,000 times. Literally, if you've ever read the story, they said that he attempted 10,000 times to make a light bulb. And when they said to him, you failed 10,000 times, he said, no, I found 9,999 ways to not make a light bulb. It's a pretty wild concept, isn't it? When you think about it in those terms, what he did was eliminate all of the ways that this crap wasn't going to work. Well, you better view your sobriety the exact same way, right? I spent 3 decades finding all of the different ways that getting sober wasn't going to work. I tried, and we've all done this, right? This isn't unique to me, but I tried just getting high on weekends. I tried cutting down, just going to do, 1 10-bag a day, right? And then I'm not going to do anything other than that. I'm just going to get up in the morning. I tried every stupid way that you could possibly hope to get through the life of a drug addict until I came across the way that worked. And I know we beat this to death, but you know which way worked? Hanging out with a bunch of other people that understood exactly what I was going through. Hanging out with a bunch of other people. And I had a conversation with someone about this today. You cannot do this any other way. There's a reason that the Lifeboat is helping people. There's a reason that when you look at the bottom of the page, you see 1 million days of sobriety, 1 million plus days of sobriety. And it's because the system that works is addicts helping addicts. One of the greatest ways that you could possibly be a success is to copy other people that have been successful. There's a pretty cool concept, right? If somebody did it before you, they did all of the homework, they did all of the slaving, all of the problems, right? All of the overcoming of the stupid methods that didn't work. Why would you want to reinvent that wheel? Why would you want to go and try to figure it out? Let me help you out, right? Let me save you a whole lot of time. If you think that you're going to regulate your drug use, it's not going to happen. I promise you, it's not going to happen. If you think you're going to only get high on the weekends, if you think you're going to develop self-control, right? Self-control works really well for those cats, right? For the normal people. What makes us drug addicts, what makes us alcoholics, what makes us people that cannot regulate our usage of our substance of choice is the fact that we're not built that way. And this doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you, someone who suffers from some kind of a moral shortcoming. Makes you somebody that has a disease. And you know what? I know people I'm going to get emails tonight, Mark. I'm going to get emails. If you don't like the disease concept, right? There's the exit. I'm not trying to be a jerk. But this is so established at this point that if you want to argue the disease concept with me, with all due respect to you, you're ignorant. Not stupid, but they're two different things.
Way two different things.
Way two different things. But your lack of education on this subject, I'm not going to debate something that is a fact. Like, I'll debate opinion with you till the end of time. I enjoy that, actually. I really do. If there's something that I have an opinion on, I will debate that with you forever. but I'm not going to debate facts, right? Gravity, see this stuff? Right? I'm not going to debate that with you. You drop stuff, it falls to the ground, right? That would be pointless to debate that. To say that addiction is not a disease at this point, no different than gravity, people. It's documentable. The three things that make something a disease, you can't argue it. I mean, you can, right? You can also argue that gravity doesn't work, but it's a waste of time. So knowing exactly that the people who came before us paved a huge trail, and with all due respect, you know what? I'm going to catch one for this too. But yesterday, toward the end of the show, somebody put up in the comment section that the guy that wrote the big book for AA, he got off alcohol by using LSD. I love you. If you're the person that put up that comment, I love you, man. I'm not mad at you. I'm really not. And if LSD means a lot to you and you think it's a way to get sober, God bless you. Let me know how it works out. But that is not even close to how that man got sober, right? This is such an easily documentable thing. And if you want to talk to a cat that spent a decent amount of time reading about how addiction was overcome, I don't think you're going to do better than me and Mark. And I assure you, that is not how this went down. So no disrespect, right? Yep. But opinions are great. You can have them. We're not going to argue facts. That's not how he got sober. The way he got sober was one person saying to him, I'll keep you from drinking tomorrow. That's a fact, right? And if you read some book that doesn't appear anywhere else in the world that talked about LSD, send it to me. Send it to me. I'd love to read it. You understand where we're going, people? Failure across the board is an opportunity for success. And that's not a cliche. It's a freaking fact.
Yep.
Right? How many times do you fail? As many times as it takes. You think Bill Gates hit it out of the park on the first try? Do you think any of these people, and you know, I'll have people that say to me, you know, so-and-so did it on the first try. No, he didn't. You saw the tip of the iceberg. You heard the story. Very few people come out and say, you know what? I bought Windows and this thing took off because I knew this was coming. They don't say, prior to that, I did this, 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 and this, right? You don't know the things that led up to success. But here's the point of today, right? The big takeaway, and I'm doing it early because I usually don't talk about this till the end of the show. The big takeaway for today is this. Success breeds success, right? Success breeds success. Once you realize that the key to success is getting kicked in the teeth every single time, except the last one, right? The last time, all of a sudden, everything works. And the beautiful thing about getting sober is that will stick with you. You'll go, holy crap, this time it worked. Well, how many times did you get knocked down? How many times did you relapse? How many times did you try to regulate yourself? How many times before you ended up getting sober? This is the great takeaway. This is base camp 101. This is the start of the rest of your life. Because once that happens, right? You know how many businesses I've started that just didn't fly? And I've had business success. But do you know how many businesses I started that fell flat on their face? Boy, Johnny could tell you. Because we did a lot of them together, right? But once I got sober, you know, when this watch thing came down the pike, it was a different mindset, right? I was willing to fail because the watch business was going to be a success. I might fail a couple of times until I figure out exactly how it needs to work. But damn it, I'm going to make it fly, right? Because this is something that makes me happy and I know that there's money in it. I'm going to make this fly. And the beautiful thing is I didn't have to fail a lot. On this particular business, I didn't have to do a lot of failing. But anybody that goes, boy, you know what, Tommy did it right out the gate. What that was successful his first time around. Yeah. Okay. You're seeing the tip of the iceberg, right? All of those businesses, you want me to start listing them off? Boy, Johnny could do it. Seawall Charter Boats. Right? Our first business attempt was called Seawall Charter Boats. Not for lack of effort, people. Especially not me. Honestly, I didn't do a lot. But boy, Johnny did. It just wasn't a great, it wasn't meant to be, right? We failed. And I'm not going to do it because Johnny will get him, you know, neither of us need to do a greatest hits. Suffice to say, I could list 15 of them. The difference was we knew from the word go that we were entrepreneurs, right? And an entrepreneur is one who assumes the risks of business to achieve the gains, right? We were going to continue to take those risks until we found the right deal. And the beautiful thing is, then they will say, boy, he was an overnight success. My brother is in the process of doing some really cool stuff, and I'm probably not supposed to talk about it. Send me an email. I'll tell you all about it. Right? I'm not supposed to talk about this because it's going to be announced here in the near future. It is really good stuff from my brother. And I promise you that people are going to go, boy, the guy was an overnight success. I've been watching him strive and struggle and fight to be a successful version of what he wants since we were in our teens. It's the tip of the iceberg syndrome. Now, yesterday we talked about social media and about some of the dangers of social media. You want to know one of the biggest dangers of social media? We look at people who are very successful. Tip of the iceberg, right? You look at somebody who's successful and you go, boy, man, that dude's hitting it out of the park. Or that girl's hitting it out of the park. They are so successful. And we start to follow them. Why? Because we want to be motivated. We want this to be something that drives us to be a better version of ourselves. Does it? Not usually. What it usually does is it makes you think this person threw a switch, right? Instantly, these people were successful. And I have been fighting for people. No one is instantly successful. Honestly, it's not how it works. You go, well, you know what? This artist was his first song. Were you there when he was learning to play the guitar? Seriously, were you there when he stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning with blisters on his fingers, learning how to play a chord or learning how to play notes? No. If you walk into my living room, which you probably won't, but if you walked into my living room, there's a really, really big picture. I mean, it's like 3.5 feet wide. Me upside down on skis, right? With my skis crossed. It's a huge picture. Very, very cool. It was taken in Snowbird, Utah on April Fool's Day. Huge crowd of people watching, and they're lined up on both sides of the jump, and they're looking up into the air as I'm flying by. And you'd think, wow, you know what? Great picture. Do you have any idea how many backflips I missed in my life? How many times I roached to learn how to do a backflip on skis? Forget that. Not that it didn't take thousands of times, because it did. But forget that. Just learning to land a jump, period, on a pair of skis. Right? From the time I was 6, I started flying through the air, coming down, and then roaching. Right? Scorpion folding, breaking things, having surgery. I never stopped doing it. And you know why? Truthfully? Because I was too stupid as a kid to know the difference. And before anybody goes, yeah, well, you know what? No, you were that kid. Right? Raise your hand if you can ride a bike. Have you ever watched a kid try to ride a bike? Seriously. If we had to learn how to ride bikes when we were 25, there wouldn't be a guy on the planet that could ride a bike. I also think sobriety has a huge part in making addict or making an addict. There are tribes that use mind-altering substances to but have zero addictions. It's because there's no shame or judgment, and it's all honesty. There's a lot of truth to this.
Yes.
Look, our culture, absolutely, our culture lends itself to this. But from a pharmacological standpoint, about 3% of the population is going to get addicted to whatever they try. That's what science tells us. Now, how much of that is affected by society? You know, you can debate that. But if you take people in another country, the numbers don't change, right? 3% is going to get addicted to whatever they start using on a regular basis. So if that number is the same in every part of the planet, rather, then that would lead you to believe that just as human beings, right, there is a certain number of us that are addicts, plain and simple, right? We're born that way. There's not much debate for this. It gets back to the fact that this is a disease, right? About 3% have this disease from Jump Street. And you go, well, the numbers are a lot higher than that. No, they're not. Because 3% alcohol, 3% cocaine, 3% methamphetamine, 3% benzodiazepines, 3% barbiturates, 3%. You follow me? By the time you add it all together, you go, there are 30 million addicts in the U.S. Yeah, there are. But they're spread out over a whole lot of substances.
Yep.
And then there are people who never, ever go down that road, right? They have the gene, but they don't go down that road. But this baby right here owns them, right? Owns them. Because there's no difference. Once you are in that fold, I was just talking to somebody earlier about this, oddly enough. I was sitting with someone and we were talking about gambling or any of the other stuff that starts to fire, right? You can be addicted to so many different things that when you take that 3% and you spread it all out over all of the different addictions, this is where you come up with that 30 million number. If you said 30 million people are addicted to opiates, right? You go, damn, right? But there is a disease in the brain. Now, there are other cultures where, that may not be as prevalent across the board because there are cultures that only use one substance. There are a lot of places on this planet that have rites of passage at the age of 16 where you do mushrooms or you do this or you do that. And you don't see the abuse in those cultures. There are also drugs that are very difficult to abuse, for real. Try abusing the hell out of LSD. Not an easy drug to abuse because if you do the same dose 2 days in a row, the second day it's not going to do anything. In fact, if you take 10 micrograms on Monday, you got to take 20 micrograms on Tuesday. You got to take 40, right, on Wednesday, 80, 160. And by the end of a 2-week period of time, you're eating a sheet of acid and not getting any effect out of it. It's a very unusual drug. So there are things out there that people use and don't seem to get addicted to, but it's more of an affectation of what that particular substance is within the body versus, just any of the other things that you can lump in there as what the issue is. But when we get back to success and failure, when we start talking about the things that make somebody a success at what they do, the difference in every one of these people, I promise you, is how often they're willing to get up. Plain and simple. Nelson Mandela. There aren't too many people on the planet who don't have a handle on who Nelson Mandela is, right? Nelson Mandela led a country that suffered through apartheid. Apartheid was a government, a form of government that just said blacks were worthless. Twisted, right? This is one of the sickest concepts in history. But that was the form of government. Whites are this, blacks are that. Really bizarre. And he led his country out of that. And you know something? That's the tip of the iceberg, isn't it? That's what you see. That's what you see sticking up. What you don't see is 20 some odd years that he spent in prison for something he didn't do. Didn't get bitter, didn't hate. And when he got out and he became the first black president of South Africa and was given a Nobel Peace Prize, his speech at the Nobel Peace Prize will make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, especially if you're addicted to something. Because he got up and said, boy, what a great honor. But I really want to believe that you're not giving this to me for being the president of South Africa. I would like to believe that this award was for how many times I got up after getting knocked down.
Yep.
Right? That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Most certainly. And, you can even go into Martin Luther King Jr. with that kind of stuff. That's that's great man. Very powerful things he said. And but
probably the best speaker of any of our lifetimes. Just an amazing communicator.
How many times did he have to get up? I mean, it just.
Good Lord.
I know. And those of us over here in the States probably kind of recognize that. I think most of us recognize the Mandela thing too. That man was, my God, that prison over there is totally different than what it is over here, guys. So just understand that. It is the old mud huts with freaking bars.
Ugly.
Yeah, it's ugly.
Yeah,
stuff.
Bars.
Yeah,
absolutely. You're not going to store and buying. It's a completely. And the insane thing is that when he got elected and at his inauguration dinner, 3 of the people he invited were prison guards. You talk about no hard feelings.
Wow.
I mean, I remember reading something on the internet from one of the prison guards who said when he got the invite, he was floored. Like he just could not believe that of all the people on the planet, Nelson Mandela say, "Oh yeah, I want you there." right? A guy that didn't get bitter. Another one of the key points is that it is a very easy thing to allow failure to make you into something, right? And we talk about not allowing anybody to make you anything, right? We talk about this all the time.
Rip makes Rip makes a really good comment here, though. You know, I'm not going to read it. You guys can read it. It's up there. But he's saying exactly what I'm getting ready to say because I've been thinking it the whole time. You will definitely do better in your recovery when you're around people that are successful in that. It's crazy how that works because you can do the same thing. You can go out to the golf course, and Tommy, I know you used to golf. I'm not sure if you still do or not. But I remember going to the golf course on a Saturday morning as a twosome, and you get paired up with two other people because it was crowded. If those two people sucked, guess what? My score was my score was always lower that day because of that. And it's amazing how that really affects you, and you don't even know it is. And it's crazy. I don't know why. I don't even know the science behind that, but I'm sure that there is. It's just that is a known phenomenon. You know, it's what happens. You golf better or you play sports better. Anything competitive, you do better when you're around people that are good at that. That's why they tell you go play with somebody that's better than you. That's the same thing what we're doing here.
If you're the smartest guy in the room, find the new room, right?
Exactly.
Because truthfully, you play up, whether it's sports or anything else. When one of the reasons I probably ended up the skier that I was because when I was growing up, the Olympic team decided to train in Killington, Vermont, right, where I lived, and you know they were very cool to not shun kids. You know, we'd go out there at 12 and they'd go, "Come on." And we were skiing with the best in the world. Like there was nobody on the planet better than these guys. And we were out there every day, skiing with them. And it's a really a great point because nobody made it. And I'm not exaggerating. Nobody made it. We didn't believe this was possible, right? This whole sobriety thing, we didn't believe it was possible until two addicts proved it. And then instantly the group grew, and then it grew to a different state, and it grew to a different country. And now there are literally hundreds of millions of people that benefited from these cats proving that it could happen. So yeah, there's so much to that. Surround yourself with people who are successful, and you are going to become successful. Why the hell do you think we're here?
Yeah.
We're here to say, you know what, we got through this, you can. And again, the most popular video we got this season is the one that says you've got to be able to believe that it's possible. Do you know how many poor people out there today think, well, I'm the one guy that can't. I know other people got sober, but they're not like me, right? I used to think that. I swear to you I did. I used to think, yeah, well, those people can get sober. I'm not that dude, right? I'm doing 7 grams a day, right? They don't have the drug habit I have. I've been stealing for how many years to get high? They don't have the habit I have. People, nothing, right, is unique about any one of us or our habits. I don't care how much you think you're different as an addict, you're not in any way. And if you think, boy, I'm the worst of it, you haven't met the worst of it. Honestly, like I can sit here and I talk about 7 grams a day and I meet people who go, you did 7 grams a day? Like, how is that possible? And then I read a book by a guy who is from, what do they call the mistake on the lake?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. It'll come to me. It's Cleveland, Ohio. There was a guy from Cleveland, Ohio who wrote a book. And the day that he overdosed and almost died was the day that he got sober. He had done a shot in his neck. 3.5 grams of heroin in a shot. This guy said he was doing 6 of those a day. And I thought, that's a habit, right? That's buried the amount of dope I was doing. But there was a time where I honestly thought there's nobody out there doing it like me. Now, when I was in prison, I read this guy's book. By the way, this guy, multimillionaire, an inspiration. And why? He figured out that he could get sober. And once he figured out he got sober, nothing else was out of sight. Nothing. People, the ability to dream something and make it happen. Sobriety is the template for that. It is. Why do you think every single time we talk about this, we say base camp? Base camp is getting sober. It's not the end of the line. It's the starting gate, right? The belief that you can do anything starts with, I can do this, right? I can do this. The concept is the exact same. I'm not letting anything get in the way of my success, which includes failure, by the way. The difference between people that do it quickly and people who don't, and you're going to get all kinds of torqued at me. You know the difference? They can tell you why they failed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Every time there's a bump in the road that derails you from what you're trying to do, if you can't evaluate what just happened to you, trust and believe you're going to repeat it. You understand what I'm saying? You're never, ever going to get off of go if you can't figure out what it is you did to fail. What do you think is the easiest way to figure out exactly what caused you to fail? Take notes. Write down what you did that was successful and continue to do it. Multiply it. Take it to the next step.
Right.
What you did that caused you to fail, quit doing it. Now, I'll tell you something. This works the exact same thing whether you're trying to quit drinking a fifth a day or you're trying to start your own business or you're trying to be the best dad you can possibly be, right? Or you're trying to insert your favorite thing here. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. And I promise you, as kids, you don't need to write it down. For real. You fall off a bike as a kid, you go, oh, I know exactly what I did, right? I got scared. I did this. I put my foot down. My foot caught. I'm not doing that again, right? I find that when I'm going faster, it's a lot easier to balance, right? I'm not going to do this really slow crap. These are all things that you do as a kid without even thinking about. Right. As you get older, it's not that simple. You have to start keeping track of exactly what you did, right? You have to. As adults, we get afraid of failure. We do. More people, or if they write books about it, right? This is one of the most popular self-help subjects on the planet. How not to fail. I got news for you. You know the easiest way in the world to not fail? Don't freaking do anything. Right? Don't do anything. You're never going to fail. Go work at the same job you got, get drunk every night, come home and do exactly what you're doing, and you'll be really a successful alcoholic. Yeah, you will get drunk every night, right? You will never get any higher in status or in happiness or anything else than you are right now. That's a simple way to achieve the success that you're striving for. If what you're looking for is to fail, then you're set. But if you want to take it to the next level, people, you're going to take serious stock of everything that you're doing, and you're going to learn from your mistakes. May I suggest buying a freaking notebook? Right?
Yep.
And whether you're writing in that at the end of the day to talk about how much better you're going to be as a businessman, how much better you're going to be as a father, how much better you're going to be as a whatever. But if you're not keeping track of your successes and your failures, how the hell are you going to know if you're doing any better? Right? Every single time we fail, if you learn something in that, then it shouldn't be called a failure. I'll guarantee you, people, you're not going to go to a lot of other channels that talk about good relapses. I can swear to you, I've never read it anywhere else. I thought I was a genius the first time I thought about it. I'm not, because the people who are successful, no, seriously, the people who are successful, maybe nobody ever called it that. Right? Yeah. There have been a lot of people who wrote about making sure that, you learn when it happens. Yep. I may have put a cool name to it. But the bottom line is, the people who stop relapsing, they stop the time they figured it out. It's funny, people would say, yeah, I lost my keys. Have you ever noticed that you always find your keys in the last place you look for it? Right? That's because you're not going to look any place else after you found them, right? Of course it's the last place you look for them. Why would you keep looking after you found them, right?
Yep.
It really is the same principle, as silly as it sounds. It's the same principle.
Just Christine made a really good comment here. Says, failure is the beginning of success.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is.
Yep.
And the saddest thing is this. We buy into we buy into society's view on failure. And you know what it does? It keeps you exactly where you are. For real. The most successful people in the world got really good at not giving a crap when they fail. not caring. I will, the thing about the Lifeboat that makes me more proud than anything, I mean this, when somebody comes here and says, hey, I relapsed last night, if you knew how many times the show ends and Mark will say to me, man, I can't believe dude just came and told us that. Right. And in the beginning, we would talk about it for 40 minutes when the show was over.
Yeah.
Dude, no one would have known. Right? No one would have known.
Yeah.
He could have just BS'd everybody.
Yeah.
You know why they don't? Because they don't want to be failures forever. You know what? Failing on the way doesn't make you a failure. It just means that you're on your way. You know who a failure is for real? A failure is a guy that gets knocked down 6 times and gets up 6 times. That's a failure. If you get knocked down 6 times and you get up 7, you're a success.
Yep.
I mean it. 100 out of 100 times. If you get up more times than you got knocked down, my brother said, I failed so much I got used to it. You know what? There's something to that.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds funny, but there's something to that.
It's the mental,
honestly,
mental part of it.
Mental part of it. What jackass on the planet would try to make something 10,000 times? Think about it. What guy on the planet would do that? That thing, this thing here with the big round circle, right? Every light on this planet is lit up today because that jackass was willing to fail 9,999 times. It was his 10,000th attempt. Think about that, people.
Yeah.
I mean, good God, right? Is there anybody out there that's saying, yeah, that Alexander Graham Bell boy, that dude was a failure, wasn't he? Right? Yeah, that dude, why? You talk about a loser. I failed 9,999 times. No, when you throw a light switch, right? Bell, he handled it, didn't he? Right? The greatest successes on this planet were people like my brother who got used to it. You know what? Failure's all right. What you got to do is you honestly got to think about it in the same terms he did. All right, look, might take 10,000 times to figure out how to make this. So when I fail, I'm just that much closer, right? When I fail, I'm that much closer. I fail 5 times in a day. I'm 5 attempts closer. People, I'm not kidding you. It took me almost as much time to get sober as it did for him to make a light bulb.
Yeah.
You know, 10 decades, right? 30 years of trying to figure out a way to get sober. And you know, the amazing thing is, like Mark was saying earlier, you know how I got sober? Because a dude way better at this than I was said, you want some help? Actually, he didn't. I wish you could have seen the day that he came up to me because it was really a beautiful thing. I would love to tell you the story that he just walked up and said, hey, you want help? It's not what happened. We were sitting at the library and I was talking to somebody about something. And when the guy walked away, he came up and said, you know what? You're going to be back. I said, what do you mean? He said, in prison, you're going to be back. And I said, nah, I've been to prison a couple of times. This is the last time. He's like, oh, no, it's not. I mean, I wanted to punch this dude in the face for real. First of all, for him to come up and talk to me in prison from a different race, I'm not racist, but in prison, it's a shocker when someone does that because it's just not done. Yep. And he was in my face. Now you're gonna keep doing it. You're a loser. I mean, I was like, I beg your pardon? He's like, you're a loser. I said, wow. He's like, yeah, for real. He said, you know what? I'm going to spend the rest of my life in prison. And I thought, damn, well, I'm not that much of a loser, huh? You know? No, honestly.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And he had to know exactly where I was going with it, Mark, because he looked at me and went, so are you. He's like, you're just on an installment plan. I did it all at once, but you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. You might get out for a year here and a year there, but you're going to spend your whole life in prison on the installment plan. And by the time this guy was done talking, you have no idea how bad I wanted to go. Let's head to the bathroom and figure this out. You know what I mean? Like I just wanted to punch him, into submission. And we didn't resolve it. This was not how it was resolved. He just beat on me for so long and then he sort of walked away and left me there. And I was feeling some kind of way. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I went back to my cell and thought, I'm going to beat this dude's ass. Like we're going to get together and we're going to fight because, like he insulted every single part of who I was.
Yep. And
I walked into the library the next day. I wasn't there for any other reason than to go talk to him, for real. And I walked up. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm not a loser." And he's like, "Yeah, you are." He's like, "But," he said, "no lies. Since I've been down, 5 dudes, I've gotten sober. He's like, 5 guys. He's like, and I'll get you sober. He's like, but you're going to do everything I tell you you're going to do. You know, and I remember sitting there listening to this whole thing thinking, screw you, dude. Like, you're going to tell me? And I found myself going like this. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you got 5 dudes sober? Work on me. You know? I was so sick and tired of falling down and then not figuring out how to get back up. Right? Just continuing to like, I honestly was to the point. The saddest part was this. When he said to me, you're going to be back, I knew in my heart he was right. Deep down, like, I could tell my family and I could tell everybody else, oh no, this is it. You know, this is the time I knew I was going to be back.
Yep.
I did. You know, in my heart of hearts, I knew that I was going to go back to prison. I knew I was going to die in prison. So I was willing to listen to whatever this dude had to say. Right? Because as far as it went, you know, we started talking, and he said to me, you know, yeah, he said, I came to prison. He goes, I turned my life around. I said, yeah. How long you been at this joint? He said, 26 years. Huh?
Eh.
I'm like, you've been at this same prison? No, that doesn't happen, people.
Right.
It doesn't. Because when you screw up, you get shipped. I'm like, you haven't had a write-up? He goes, no. I've been working at the factory for that entire time. This dude worked 26. Nobody's ever worked 26 years at a prison factory. It's never happened. He hasn't had a write-up since he got to prison. This was a guy that in his realm, right, where he was, nothing was going to get in his way. He was going to be a success. We started talking and he brought up stock, and I said, you know what? I'm not bragging, but I probably know more about stock than anybody you're ever going to meet. I was the president of a publicly traded company. I can explain the hell out of stock to you. And we started to talk, and he's got a portfolio worth 6 figures from money that he spent in prison. And his family buys and sells this. I'm telling you right now, the saddest thing in the world is that he's not getting out, because there's nothing this cat can't do. Nothing. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant, people, but I swear to God, I feel the same way. It's where I'm at.
Yep.
I've gotten to the point where, I may not get it on the first try. I might not get it on the first 9,999 tries, but if I put my mind to something, I'm going to friggin' do it, because I'm not going to stop getting up, and I'm not going to take no for an answer. I don't have a problem failing anymore. It's just like she said, man. That's just part of success. It's the start of it, right? You got to fail to become successful. And if you get successful on the first try without a failure, I honestly don't think you're gonna keep it. I don't think you'll respect it. It's like sobriety. It's like everything else. People, I would rather be shot in the chest with a 12 gauge than get high. I mean that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I feel the same. I feel the same way. You know,
is there anything you own, Mark, that's more valuable than your sobriety?
No, not at all. I mean, because if I do that, what happens is, you know, I fall into it, then I don't own anything.
Right?
It's gone. I mean, it's all gone. It means nothing.
Spirituality,
yeah,
family, every single thing in your life goes down the crap tubes if you lose the only thing in your life that is more important than anything else. And you know what? I'll get emails tonight from people that say to me, well, God's more important than that. Hey, people, with no sobriety, I ain't got God. I promise you. I demonstrated that for 3 freaking decades.
Yep.
Without sobriety, I don't have God. I don't have family. I don't have friends. I don't have business. I don't have the lifeboat. I don't have anything. This sobriety thing is more important to me than anything else.
Yeah. And
I'm not kidding. You know, when people go, you know, the lifeboat, you know, what you guys do. Number one, I swear to God, this is what keeps Mark and I on an even keel.
Yep.
Right. This is our go-to plan for staying sober, and it works. But on top of that, I'm paying this forward. I'm not kidding you, people. I said that to Q as I was leaving, you know, and I said I was getting shipped to another prison, not for doing anything wrong, but because I got to the part of my sentence where they were going to ship me within 500 miles of where I lived. So I was leaving him, and I was saying goodbye to him. And I'll tell you something, it hurt.
Yeah.
Right? This dude put so much effort into me, it hurt. And I went up and I said to him, hey, I'm never going to get high again. He goes, I know. And I said, so when I get out, you want money on your books. You tell me what you want me to do, man, because I will do anything for you. You know, there's nothing I won't do for you. And he said, pay it forward, man. Seriously, go find someone else that needs it, that doesn't understand it, and get them sober. I'm not kidding you, people. Like the lion's share of what I do on this boat, I do for that cat.
Yeah. I could see that, man. I mean, it's definitely something that special thing when you run into somebody like that. And with my story, I always, people ask me, how'd you stay sober for so long? But what I don't talk about a whole lot is the times that I tried before that. Because you think I was a one and done? No, not happening. Yeah, when I went and got serious help, and because what I'm saying is, when I tried to quit with nobody knowing I was addicted, that's what I'm talking about. Okay,
hey, Buddha,
it's crazy.
Buddha, explain to me why you disagree, brother. No, absolute respect. I don't have any problem with anybody disagreeing, but tell me why, because I don't. By reading your comment, I'm not sure exactly how you disagree with me.
Is he talking to you or maybe somebody else?
I believe he is. And like I said, what? You can disagree with me till the end of time.
Yeah, for real.
I just need to know why, so I can
understand.
Right?
Yeah, no,
I kind of would like to understand it.
Yeah.
No, so you weren't a one and done, huh? I don't know that I've ever met a one and done.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't think I have either. Those are very few and far between. I would think, the old Aladdin thing, diamond in the rough. He'll email you. Right. He said it's probably too. Okay. It's probably too long to put out there. Yeah. I get that.
Do it. Don't leave me waiting for 4 days because it'll drive me nuts. Send me an email tonight. You know what I mean? You'll leave me wondering. It's going to drive me insane.
Good night, Trish.
Hey, Josh B. Good to see you.
John.
What's the guy's name? We might not be here if it wasn't. His name is Q. If you tried to actually pronounce the guy's name, Q is. I remember saying to him, "Well, what's the Q stand for?" And he said, "Yeah, if you tried to spell it or pronounce it, you'd really be wasting your time. Just go with Q." Gotcha. So I always have, and I've read it a couple of times on. He worked in the same factory as me. He was the guy that cut all the cloth, and I would go over, and he had to sign off on everything. And I remember looking at it the first time, going,
"What?
Yeah, Q works. Yeah, Q works." Yeah. There was about 14 letters. There was a Q and a U, and the rest of it just honestly, it looked like you can't put those letters together and make it say anything.
Right.
But,
I coached the kid. Every time you say Q, I always think of that because I coached a little kid. His name was Quindarius, and Quindarius was his name. Yeah. It's a pretty cool little name.
I can honestly say that in 52 years, that would be the first one I ever came across.
We called him Q because that's the response you get from everybody when you say that.
Checks out.
Hey, Quindarius, checks out. Back up, Quindarius.
Especially if you're yelling into him as a coach.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Take one for the team, Quindarius. What is that? Who's that guy talking to?
What did he just say? Wash your mouth out.
But no,
I'm not sure what language that is. But
yeah.
It didn't sound nice.
Yeah, but it was a cool name, cool kid too. I have to say, cool kid. It was probably one of the better parts of my life was coaching kids.
One and done is for quitters.
Who said that? I didn't even see it.
That was Buddha.
Buddha say that?
One and done is 3/4. That's good, Buddha.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That really is. That's funny. By the way, people, if you did not see Squirrel Nut Zipper flying through the air, you really need to see it. Because so many people say to me all the time, the cat just sleeps all the time. The cat only sleeps when the lifeboat is on.
If you seen that cat right before he went on air, he was all
today, right?
Yeah, she was all over the place, man.
Tearing stuff up, knocking things down. Tried to actually knock my beverage to the ground. She's an animal in more ways than one. So look, the takeaway, people, is this. Once you get this in the rearview mirror, what you've proven is not that you can get sober. Although that's a really beautiful thing. But that's not what you proved. What you proved is you can be a success at what you set your mind to. If that's not the biggest takeaway of you getting sober, then you missed the boat. You understand? For real. This should be the reason that this is base camp. The reason this is a launching pad for the rest of your life is because once you know that you can continue to get up and that nothing is going to get in the way of you doing what you say you're going to do, then hell, man, just pick what you want to do in life and do it. Right? Be the best dad you ever could possibly be. Be the best businessman. Be the best brother, the best sister, the best whatever. Once you know that the formula works, I don't quit. I don't fail, right? Not permanently. Because I'll tell you something. If you think falling down is failing, then you're not getting it. Not succeeding, and failing are two really different things. If it takes you 40 years to get sober, you did not succeed, right? For 40 years, but you didn't fail. The guy that dies addicted fails. Sorry, but that's the truth, right? Or the gal that dies addicted. That's failure.
Yeah.
As long as you continue to push forward and say, I ain't quitting, then you did not fail. Right?
100, man. I'm with you, man. 100%. It's, you know, and this is why this is such a great conversation and a great topic, because, you know, I really think a lot of people can connect with what we're talking about here, because nobody really talks about this. You know?
Well, no.
They don't.
Here's the thing. A lot of the people that try to help people get sober, and God bless every one of them, whether I agree with how they're doing it or not, God bless them. I'm not bad mouthing any of them, but there only can be so much focus on the sobriety angle for real, because once you get sober, once you prove that this is possible, all right, now it's time to start living. And I'm not busting on anybody. I promise you I'm not. You live your life the way you want to live it. But I know people that go to 6 or 7 meetings a week, right? And they've been doing that for 10 or 15 years. And other than that, they haven't changed any part of their life. And God bless them, because it beats the hell out of being wasted. It really does. But you know what, man? Set your goals a little bit higher. Keep setting them a little bit higher. And when you get when you hit that plateau and you go, holy crap, I made it, set them a little higher. For real. If you get to where you're making $100 million a year, well, then start fixing the planet, because you already proved that you could do amazing things. Start helping others. Start doing something that is going to leave this planet a little bit better than you found it. And the only way that that's going to start is if you put down the bottle, if you put down the needle, if you put down the straw. Start close to home. Become a great dad. Become a fantastic mom, right? A good brother, a good sister, a good uncle, whatever position you're in. Start affecting those immediately around you, and then start setting your goals a little higher. Because once you prove you can do it, you can do it. There's no difference between getting sober and being successful. There's no difference between getting sober and being a good father, a good mother. It's I'm not taking no for an answer, right? It's I'm going to keep getting back up. I don't care how many times I get knocked on my face. I'm going to keep getting back up until I reach the finish line. And then I'm going to move the goalpost. Right?
We don't want
once
none of
I
that.
get good at it.
Yeah, we don't want none of that white knuckle sobriety. That's not what we're looking for, guys.
No.
And that's what we used to call it. We still call it that. We just don't talk about it a whole lot. But yeah.
That's because we don't live there anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And if you guys don't know what that is it's exactly what it sounds like. You know, when you're white knuckling on the road with your car, it's all tensed up, but you're still going to make it to your destination. But it was hell getting there. And that ain't how we want to do it anymore.
Right.
You know, and I have to say this too every time I say that white knuckle sobriety thing, because, you know, I understand the first part of sobriety is that. I get that.
Yeah, that's how you start for everybody.
I get that. But after you get to a certain point, just like what Tommy said, we move the goalposts, and you got to keep moving it, and you just keep moving.
If you're 9 months in and you're white knuckling it, that's not good, right? Everybody does this in the beginning, because that's how it works. AKA Heather Joy says, I fall down countless times in just one Spartan race. Falling down is just a part of it. I always cross that finish line. And you know what? I've seen pictures. She competes in this, and her family did. It was a pretty cool post you guys should see. But yeah, you know what? Just keep getting back up. And there was another comment I saw that I liked. The first few days are white knuckles, says Matt C. No question, right, Matt? No question. That is definitely how it works.
Yep, sure is. Sure.
Josh B says, true commitment is realizing you never arrive and you never stop working. Boy, I love that. You know what? Perfect example of just how every single time we talk, the real gems of knowledge always end up in the comment section.
They do. They do. Every time.
No question. You guys are the best. All right, people. We will be back tomorrow night. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. Same flying squirrel. And if you haven't seen the flying squirrel, check it out. It's funny. It really is. It's a short on the channel. I am Captain Tommy Scoville on the other side of the glass.
Captain Mark Wages.
Amazingly, she's asleep. This is a cat in the basket. Good night, everybody. We love you.